Today I would like to share some gossip game dev news with you. So I released this YouTube video recently talking about how to release a game on Steam in less than 3 weeks. Just the Steam page, of course, not the final product, so you can only wishlist it but not buy it yet. And it got a lot of negative feedback actually, and one of them was this guy here. He was very negative about the product, and yeah, I tried to answer it, blah blah blah. And then I checked out his own YouTube page, and it looked pretty interesting to me. I saw all this stuff with this war thing going on, and it's also an FPS. And I wrote a comment, actually exactly on this video here. I wrote a comment here, but as you see, it got removed. He deleted it. And I mean, I can understand why he did it. I didn't have a bad intention, to be honest. I just wrote him a recommendation for all the stuff that he's using here for this weaponry to use UAIM. And I mean, it's pretty obvious that this product would fit very, very well with what he does. And that's my only intention that I had. And that's why I recommended him this product here, UAIM, which is a lock-on targeting system with prediction for hitting the targets. And I thought this may be useful to him. And because that's a product that I made, he thought that's a fucking advertisement, which it is in some way, you know. I mean, of course it is, but it was not my intention to be like, I don't know, an intrusive or whatever word you can use for that guy. But my intention was just maybe he can find use for it. You know, I just wanted to be nice to him, that I may have something for him that may be useful to him. That's all I had in mind, you know. And yeah, he got this, he had a bad day probably and removed it. And yeah, I don't know. So this is a little bit of gossip that was going on for me recently. And yeah, I found it funny, you know. And because we are all cool and nice guys, do this person a favor and like his stuff. If you see this video, I don't think that's a bad guy. I just think he had a bad day, and he had, I mean, I understand his perspective, and it's absolutely valid to have his perspective because it exists, you know. There's not only my perspective, there's also his perspective, and I absolutely understand it. Give him some likes, but be nice, please. And yeah, that's the gossip, the big gossip part. And there's more news going on. So Captain Carnage, the demo of this game that I'm working on is going to release very soon. So stay tuned for that. The current wishlist count of Captain Carnage is about 1,100. And yeah, the demo should release quite soon. So very, very soon. I hope the next couple of days maybe. And Waves of Hell, this is the game that the video was from. This game is currently, I think, at about 200 wishlists so far. And it's a recent game, you know, so it can't have so much wishlists, and it has a different chart than Captain Carnage. And yeah, also some news on that. And now we are going to dive into a little bit of some details regarding this video here and why it had so bad negative feedback. So here I have the first person template project, where I think most people misunderstood that this was being used as a template or something, just because I started with this template. And what I'm going to show you now is a comparison between Waves of Hell, and let's open this up, and the template project. So let's have a look at the character. So that's the character class, the character controller class. And if you look at that, there's a lot of things going on here, a lot of function. It also derives from a different base class and all these things. A lot of logic going on here in this player character class. And if you look at the first person character class, so this is from the template. What it does is basically just adding or registering the input context, adding camera input, which you always have to do, if you want a first-person game, and movement, and also the jump. So this is all very, very, very basic stuff going on here. And if you look at the template, you can run around, and my PC lags a little bit because I have 2 projects open, and it can shoot this stuff if you pick this weapon up, and that's the whole logic of that. And this here is this pickup weapon, and this attaches this weapon component to it. And if you look at this weapon component, you can't really use that like this in production. It has the input in the weapon, which I'm not a big fan of, because sometimes you have some dependencies where you want to do some or block some stuff on the character controller class, and to have less of communication, I prefer to have the input in the character class and then call some function here or whatever that calls this stuff, or event or whatever, you know. And there's an issue here because that's, how should I say it? This implementation is wrong. It's not bad, it's wrong, because you shoot from the camera rotation, but from a different point in space, which means if you shoot from your camera, in camera direction, you're always hitting what you look at. But if you shoot from a different position in the same direction, you have an offset. And I'm going to show you that. And for that, we are going to draw something in the projectile. So this projectile that is being spawned, we just draw something. And in this case, we say draw debug sphere in the location of the hit location, radius 10, duration 5 seconds. And we always want to draw this. Actually, just let's get rid of that altogether. Let's do it like that. Oops. Let's do it like that. I hope this doesn't produce any errors, but I hope not. Let's see if it works. Yeah. So we see where the shoots, the projectiles go. So it does produce some warnings, but we ignore this for now. I mean, this is the issue here. We should differentiate, and maybe let's do it correct. We do this like that, and we do a sequence. And then we do it like that, I think. And we destroy it always. Let's do it like that. Then the warning should be gone. And this still works. And the thing is, what you don't see here, that it's off center. And this is what I'm going to show you now. So let's create a blueprint. User widget. Blueprint HUD. Let's create a canvas and an image, and let's place this image in the center. And let's make it smaller, 10 by 10, something like that. It's in the center now. And now check this out. I have to spawn it, sorry. So of course, I'm going to spawn it here. Usually you have your own HUD class and everything, but I'm not going to do that in this video. I just want to be quick to show you what's going on. Create widget. And we select the HUD. Add to viewport. Oops, no, that's not add to viewport. That's add to viewport. And now let's check this out. Look at that. You see this big offset, and that's the issue with this implementation. So you can't really use it like that. If you would say get camera location and drag and drop this here, it's going to work. Don't forget that you have the velocity. So this offset that you see is due to the velocity, which means we can increase the velocity of this projectile, like, I don't know, 7,000. And then it should look better. And yeah, we could, if you really want to have it perfectly aligned, you would need to remove the gravity from this. I think there's a gravity setting. Yeah, let's set this to 0, and like that it should point in the middle. You see, if you would like, or if you would want this behavior. And yeah, that's the template basically. It has this projectile class, it has this pickup with rifle class, it has the weapon component, which is wrong by default that you have to fix. You can use this video to fix it if you want. And yeah, and if we look at Waves of Hell, yeah, it's not even comparable. And this game doesn't work with picking up weapons, so nothing of the template is being used. Even though in the video I said start with the template, and I did start with the template because it has some advantages. Like for example, this setup here. You don't have to set this up yourself. You just get this setup out of the box and save some time, you know. And that's basically what this is being used for. And everything else is custom. So actually, Waves of Hell is not really an asset flip in regard to any template things. You know what I mean? It's a self-written code base, and what I did to make it able to release this on the Steam page in under 3 weeks was to use the assets that I bought as they are. So I saved time on that because for the Steam page it doesn't really matter. But in the final game it does. So of course, if I would invest, if I would develop on this game further, I would at some point need to do some level design myself, you know, and not just reuse these things here. But for the Steam page, it doesn't matter. So to quickly get something out on Steam, it's fine to do it like that. And in the end, it's still a custom game. It's not an asset flip where some code base is being reused from the asset store or something like that. But it's self-written things with assets right now, more or less, as kind of placeholder to put it on the Steam page to get it done quickly. And this is what a lot of people misunderstood, because they thought, he's just using the template and put some assets on it and be done with it. But that's absolutely not the case. There's so much code going on here. Don't underestimate what you can possibly achieve in 3 weeks if you know what you're doing. Don't underestimate that. And this is what the video that we were talking about, this video here, was all about, you know, and a lot of people misinterpreted it. I tried to explain it here, that I don't use anything from this template, you know, but not even a projectile. Even the projectile, you know, that I shoot here is a different one than the one that comes with Unreal. I use the one from UAIM that I have written once. I haven't really compared which one is more performant or something like that, but yeah, it's a different system anyway. And you also have to consider, just so you know, when you write a shooter like that, like a first-person shooter, you have to consider how you handle the shooting anyway. So your camera looks like that, right? And your weapon is offsetted here. So I explained before with the offset shooting how to fix that. But actually, what you really do, or there are two basic solutions. First solution is to make this offset, you know, shoot a ray from the camera. The hit point that you get, use the hit point to align this line of sight here and shoot from your weapon. This is one solution, but it's not the best. The best solution would be to directly shoot from the camera with a projectile that hits something, and in addition to that, shoot a different projectile which flies in the same direction. So you do this raycasting also, and shoot a visual projectile from your weapon. And then when your real projectile hits something and you destroy it, you also have to destroy the visual projectile. So that's the solution that I prefer for this kind of things. It just feels better. And this solution, just so that you know, this solution has been implemented in uRecoil as well. So you can have a look at uRecoil if you want, but of course you have to own it if you want to have a look at it. I'm going to show it here. Just a second. uRecoil maps. So this is another product from me, of course, and let's have a look at that. In here, for example, you see it shoots in the middle, of course, and the thing is, if I would shoot only from the weapon, like you see here, you see, it would hit this blue object, but because I shoot from the center and the other is a visual, only it works like that. And the same is in Counter-Strike and Counter-Strike 2. They do it the same because it feels better. It feels worse if you are like this, you know, your crosshair is pointing at something and you would hit the wall all the time. This would suck, you know. This happens if you hit the wall. And that's why this is the preferred way of doing it. And you can have a look at uRecoil. It has this implemented, but just so you know, the system in uRecoil is more aligned with the first-person template. And there's a reason for that. This asset is not about all of these implementations, even though you can just reuse them, you know. The thing is that for uRecoil specifically, you want to have as much documentation covered by the engine, basically, you know. And people who reuse the same systems multiple times, they know these systems already and you don't have to explain it. And that's why for this here, I don't have to explain much. People that open this project will understand what's going on pretty quickly. And that's why in here specifically, it's based on the template project, the first-person template project with all these addition things on top. You know what I mean? Yeah, I hope you do. And there's a big difference to how Waves of Hell does it, for example, but still uRecoil is a plugin that works with anything, you know. One thing is the demo that is provided here that I show off, and the other is the product that can be used anywhere. So uRecoil is being used in both products. In its own demo, of course, it's being used in Waves of Hell, which is a first-person shooter, and it's also being used in Captain Carnage, which is a third-person action game with shooting mechanics. It's a genre mix, you saw it before. And yeah, you know, these are the differences. And you can have a look at this character. So it does have uRecoil, you see. And this is all for the spray pattern, but it's still a different implementation on how everything works internally from the game point of view. And yeah, I think we got everything covered that I wanted to cover in this video. I know it started as a gossip video and now it's like a tutorial video, but sometimes, yeah, we can't follow every script, you know. All right, thank you for watching. Bye.